How you doing?
Howdy, sir.
Good afternoon. Bill, how are you doing? Good. You sure? Do what? You sure? Sure.
Yeah, Jocelyn and Leon, both are out today. Correct. One is sick, one's on a trip. One is sick and one is on a trip, I believe. Well, where'd Waddle go? Waddle. Is he over there? Okay. All right, I got 6 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the Thursday, August 28th Metropolitan Area Planning Commission meeting. I'm Chair Brian Fry. Thank you all for being here. And I know everyone's probably antsy to get out and enjoy this nice hot weather. in advance of the holiday. So we'll get this meeting started. Please roll the opening announcements.
Before we begin the agenda, the Wichita-Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission and the Wichita-Sedgwick County Board of Zoning Appeals would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to this public hearing. For those in attendance, copies of the agenda for today's meeting, the public hearing procedure, and planning department staff reports on all agenda items are available in the lobby. The Planning Commission's and the BZA's bylaws limit the applicant on a zoning, subdivision, or variance application and his or her representatives to a total of 10 minutes of speaking time at the start of the hearing on that item, plus up to 2 minutes at the conclusion of that hearing. All other persons wishing to speak on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes per person. However, if they feel that it is needed and justified, the chairman may extend these times by up to 2 minutes. All speakers are requested to state his or her name and address for the record when beginning to speak. When you are finished speaking, please share your name, address, and the case number on the sheet provided in the room. This will enable staff to notify you if there are any additional proceedings concerning that item. All speakers at the podium, please remove your face mask before speaking into the microphone. Please note that all written and visual materials you present to the commission and the board will be retained by the secretary as part of the official record. If you are not speaking, but you wish to be notified about future proceedings on a particular case, please provide your contact information to the planning department. The Planning Commission and the board are interested in hearing the views of all persons who wish to express themselves on all the agenda items. However, we ask that all speakers please be as courteous and concise as possible and avoid long repetitions of facts or opinions which have already been stated. For your information, the Wichita City Council has adopted a policy for all city zoning items. A copy of this policy is available from the planning staff. The City Council relies on a written record of the Planning Commission hearings and does not conduct its own additional public hearings on these items. The decision of the BZA is final. Any appeal of a decision of the BZA is to the district court.
All right, next item is roll call. Mr. Wadle?
Yes, sir. Fry.
Present.
Mater is absent. McKay.
Here.
Dool.
Here.
Bill Johnson.
Here.
High.
Here.
Nix. Klontz is absent. Warren.
Here.
Joe Johnson.
Here.
Miles. Zimbelman.
Here.
Aldrich.
Here.
Williams Bay.
Here.
Sir, I show 12 members are present and 2 are absent.
All right, thank you. Our next item is 1.3, the approval of the August 14th MAPC minutes. I show Commissioners Bill Johnson, Doug High, and Chuck Warren were absent.
Move for approval. Second.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Joe Johnson with the second by Commissioner Bill McKay. All in favor, or John McKay, sorry, showing my history. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. With
Chair Fry, do I need to abstain because I left early?
no, we noticed that we had that happen last meeting too. But what did we decide on that?
No,
Yeah, we didn't have to.
you're okay to
Right.
approve the minutes.
Right. So we have approval with 3 abstentions, Johnson, High, and Warren. Next item is 1.4, determination of consent items. This is where we go through the agenda and see which items we can approve by consent. We'll go through the subdivision committee recommendations first. 2.1 has been deferred to September 11th. That is subdivision 2025-38. So we will not be hearing that case. 2.2 is subdivision 2025-39, a one-step final plat for Rusty Roots. West 45th Street North, and North Ridge Road. Does anyone on the commission want to hear that case? Yes, sir. Commissioner Warren.
Question is, the printout that I've got shows agenda item 2.1, and then the agenda is 2.2. Just so we don't have confusion as to what we're approving.
Yes, the numbering in your agenda items is off by one. Since the one was deferred, they just put the 2 in and the numbering got off. So Rusty Roots is item 2.2, even though your agenda packet says 2.1.
Okay. We all clear? Okay. Anyone on the commission care to hear that case? Seeing none. Anyone from the public wish to hear this case? Seeing none, we'll move item 2.2, subdivision 2025-39 to consent. Agenda item 2.3, subdivision 2025-42, one-step final plat for Rafter Estates, southeast corner of West 21st Street North and North 407th Street West. Yes, Mr. Wadle.
If I could, sir, the staff recommendation on that one, I'd recommend that you hear this item because there's been some changes to this plat since the subdivision committee heard it.
All right. Well, then we will hear item 2.3. With that, I move that we approve subdivision 2025-39 on consent.
Second.
Motion by Chair and a second by Commissioner Dool. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. On the vacation items, we'll start with item 3.1, vacation 2025-28, vacation request in the county, roughly South 143rd Street East and South Edgewater Road. Is there anyone from the commission who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anyone from the public who would like to hear this case? One in the corner. All right, thank you. Is the agent or applicant present for this case? Not yet. Just want to make sure if the agent or applicant for that. Okay, so we will call you up when it's your time. We'll go through the rest of these first. So we will hear case 3.1. Case 3.2 is vacation 2025-29, vacation request in the city at South Goebel and East Harry Street. Or is there anyone from the commission who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anyone from the public who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we'll move item 3.2 to consent. Item 3.3, vacation 2025-30. A vacation request in the city at East Gilbert and South Topeka Avenue, roughly, west of South Emporia. Is there anyone from the commission who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anyone from the public who would like to hear this case? This is the vacation request. Seeing none, we'll move item 3.3 to consent. Item 3.4, vacation 2025-31. A vacation in the city, roughly West 21st Street North and North Hoover Road. Is there anyone from the commission who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anyone from the public who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we'll move item 3.4 to consent. Item 3.5, vacation 2025-32. A vacation request in the city at West 53rd Street North and North Meridian Avenue. Is there anyone from the commission who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, is there anyone from the public who would like to hear this case? Yes, Sam. Okay, Scott, did you have something?
No, after this.
Okay, so seeing none, we will move 3.5 to consent. Before I call for a vote, because we had 2 abstentions on cases 3.1 and 3.5, those at that particular vacation committee hearing, 2 commissioners were absent for those hearings, and so they didn't hear it. But as a body, we can still approve on consent these items. So even though you weren't there for that hearing, you can still approve this on consent.
Okay, I move to approve agenda items 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, and 3.5.
Sir, if I could, before that gets a second, I believe that the individual who indicated they wanted to speak on item 3.1, the vacation item, was actually the applicant. So, do you agree with the staff recommendation? Okay.
And 3.1.
So does not wish to be heard now. Okay, so all items are now on consent. So is your amended motion then for all five?
All five.
Okay, and I had a second by Commissioner Williams-Bay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. All right, now we'll move to the public hearings. Item 4.1, conditional use 2025-98. This is a conditional use in the county for an accessory apartment at West 117th Street and North 151st Street West. Are there any members of the commission who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, are there any members from the public who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we'll move item 4. Is there one in the back? Yes. I'm sorry, I missed you. Okay, we will call for you when it's your turn. Is the applicant agent present for this? Do we know? Okay. All right. We'll hear item 4.1. Item 4.2, conditional use 2025-102, conditional use to allow mobile food unit in the city at 13th Street North and North Hydraulic Avenue. Are there any members from the commission who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, are there any members from the public who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we will move item 4.2 to consent. Item 4.3, conditional use 2025-103 in the county to allow an accessory apartment in a rural residential district, North 127th Street and East 85th Street North. Are there any members on the commission who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, are there any members in the public who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we'll move item 4.3 to consent. Item 4.4 is a CUP 2025-25 to adjust general provisions to allow for warehouse self-storage, North Greenwich Road and East Central Avenue. Are there any members of the commission who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, are there any members in the public who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we'll move item 4.4 to consent. Item 4.5 is a PUD 2025-17, a zone change request in the city from multifamily and GC to a PUD, South Topeka, generally located South Broadway and 3 blocks south of East Kellogg Avenue. Are there any members on the commission who would like to hear this case? I see one, so we will hear item 4.5. So, with that, I move that we approve items 4.2, 4.3, and 4.4 on consent. We have a motion by Chair and a second by Commissioner Nix. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. There are no BZA items, so we will move into our first case, which is 2.3, Raptor Estates. Not so fast. Go ahead, sir. Thank you.
Good morning, Greg Sharon, Planning Department, here to present the Raptor Estates. If you could go through the plat, please. So the reason to hear this afternoon is because the original plat was submitted as a two-lot subdivision with lots 1 and 2, and with a floodway reserve right there. After the applicant has been talking through the drainage plan with county stormwater management, they decided to include this area right here, Zone X, which was not originally part of the subdivision, and include that as part of the subdivision so that the owner of this property can maintain the floodway reserve. And the applicant is here to kind of, since he's talked to the stormwater manager and worked that out with them about including this as an additional lot to the subdivision. So we hearing it today is to let you know that, like I said, this originally was a 2-lot. After discussion with stormwater management, they decided to include this area not originally part of the subdivision as a 3rd lot for maintenance of this floodway reserve, which was included in the original subdivision. So with that, I would stand for questions. And
Greg, Scott Wadle, Planning Department. Greg, as part of your presentation, can you highlight, are there any changes as a result of this? What should the Planning Commission be aware of in terms of?
The only thing that has changed basically is this area. This dark line just connects to that. This becomes a dark line, and then this line goes away and it just becomes Lot 3.
Okay, we have a question from Commissioner Aldrich.
Is there any issues or concerns from any of the, utilities, stormwater, fire?
Nope, they've all approved the plat. So the additional of 1 additional lot will meet all the requirements because it still has the 3-lot minimum for, or maximum for driveway for fire access.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other, Mr. Wadle?
Sorry. Greg, did the Utility and Advisory Committee, did they see the new plat with 3 lots?
I believe, like I said, it was presented, what you see on the screen with the 2 lots, that was presented with, to the subdivision committee. This 3rd lot was added, I believe, a couple days ago, after discussions with the drainage plan and the floodway easement.
Commissioner Zimmelman.
At the subdivision meeting, the discussion was that they hadn't had time to look at this new drainage plan yet, but they thought they could get together and have it solved by the time this meeting took place.
Okay.
Did that happen? Did they get this resolved or not? I understood it was going to be 1 lot. Is that what you guys understood?
I do not recall, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get the applicant up or the agent.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, he might be able to discuss what he's had discussions with drainage. But like I said, the addition of this lot was, from my understanding, was a result of that discussion that he had with stormwater management.
Oh, that's a good question for staff. Can we approve this without the drainage plan? We probably shouldn't.
No, we should not be approving it without a drainage plan approved.
Okay. So when can we bring it back? At our next meeting? Can we have it ready by then?
That's going to be a question for the, I'd say for the agent and for staff. It sounds like, from what I understand, just in the last 30 minutes in terms of discussion, that County Public Works, who looks over the drainage plans, my impression is that they are in favor of it. They're willing to approve it, and that they want this additional lot created. The challenge is that the documentation that was sent to you all to consider ahead of this meeting only showed 2 lots. So there's the conundrum in that you are just presented with this idea of 3 lots, and you do not have documentation that shows what it would look like.
So does it need to go all the way back through subdivision again as well?
Subdivision is sometimes the best opportunity in order to get all the advisory committee to comment on it, but we could also likewise email it to them and see if they have comments. It's 2 different ways.
I think at this point, I'm not going to speak for the subdivision committee, but maybe the chair of subdivision has an opinion on it.
I think we ought to let the agent speak before we do anything else.
Is the agent present? All right. Please give us your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 10 minutes.
Good afternoon. I'm Dan Garber with Garber Surveying Service, 2908 North Plum Street in Hutchinson and 544 West Douglas here in Wichita. This is one of those plats that makes you believe in evolution, because when we first submitted it, we had Lot 3. I'm sorry, when we first created the plat, we had Lot 3 in there, and we waited a while for the drainage plan to be prepared. And the client they sold their house and needed to get a house under construction. So they asked us to pull Lot 3 out of the plat. So this plat that was submitted to subdivision committee was just lots 1 and 2 and the floodway reserve. And the 2 parts of the subdivision were separated by this, what we're requesting now to be Lot 3. They got their building permit and got the house under construction. And so as we moved closer to this plat being approved, Scott Lindebeck, in working with the drainage plan, he really wanted a piece of property to attach that south floodway reserve to make sure that it would be maintained. And so he suggested that we put Lot 3 back in the plat. And so and then make floodway reserve part of Lot 3. So the only change is that we've added this area not in plat and the floodway reserve, we've made those together to be Lot 3. And the floodway reserve then is to be maintained. In the restrictive covenant, it says the floodway reserve will be maintained by the owner of Lot 3. Then that's really the only change. All the other easements were needed for the rest of the properties, and those that were going to be outside the plat will be dedicated by separate instrument. I stand for any questions.
Thank you, sir. We have a question from Commissioner Aldridge.
Thank you. Right now, you said construction of the house is the process.
Yes.
If this was sent back to subdivision, would that delay any of the construction?
Not to my knowledge.
And it wouldn't have an effect on any of the permits, or it wouldn't stop any of that from happening?
I don't know that anybody's ready to pull a permit on 1 and 2. So to my knowledge, it wouldn't affect anything.
Okay, so if the commission goes that way to send it back, you wouldn't have a problem?
It's another trip down for me, but other than that, I can do it.
Okay, thank you.
We have a question from Commissioner Bill Johnson. Do you still have a question, sir? Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Bill. Go ahead.
Since I'm on the subdivision, here in this case during subdivision, the only thing that was not decided was, as he explained, with the drainage. So we wanted the county to look at that. So it was sent back, apparently approved. So I don't see any sense to send this back to subdivision.
Commissioner Zimbelman.
That was my question. Did you ever get together with the city to iron this out? And
I got together with Scott Lindeback and he made the request. That's where this came from, at his request.
okay, did Scott,
It's actually county, not city.
Scott, do you know if, did you hear back? Are they okay with this drainage plan?
I'm going to look to Greg because he receives the feedback on that one.
I've not heard any confirmation from Scott that it's been approved. So
Can I make a motion to approve this subject to approval of the drainage plan?
I'm looking to legal if that would be copacetic.
I could ask the agent if he's had any, from your engineer, if he had any conversation with Scott that it's been approved yet.
Can we table this for like 10 minutes to see if we can get a hold of County Public Works and confirm whether
Sure.
the drainage plan has been submitted as shown today?
Okay, we're in recess for 10 minutes.
Okay.
Can we move ahead with something else?
No, we're in recess, so,
Let's go out and play, Joe. We're in recess.
huh?
Instead of recess? Instead of recess, can we just table for, and bring it back later in the meeting?
Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, she was the one that suggested recess. Being legal, that's why I did that.
If I could,
Did you say recess?
I said table.
Maybe I'm just thinking recess.
sir, another
Just gonna go
option would
for
be
it.
to modify the agenda and put it at the end of the agenda.
Okay.
Do you need a motion on that? If so,
I believe so,
That
in
would be
order
my
to
motion.
reorder the agenda, yes.
Okay. So I make a motion that we will, now I lost my turn. Adjust the schedule, adjust the agenda to move this to the bottom of the agenda so that staff will have time to do the investigation and find out what the county public works says. So we're moving it to the end of the agenda. We have a second? No, because this is the only thing we had on subdivision agenda. So it'll move to the end of the agenda after we hear our public hearings. So the motion is to move to the end of the agenda. We have a second by Commissioner Miles. All in favor? Say aye. All opposed? All right, motion approved. So now, we will move to 4.1. Maybe we should have let you go to begin with, Christina. Would have solved all of that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
for this one, the agent or applicant was not around when you inquired whether they were available. We've called them and learned that they are not able to make this meeting.
Okay. All right.
Okay, do you want me to move forward with the presentation?
Yes.
All right, sounds good. This is case number CON 2025-0098. The applicant is requesting a conditional use to allow an accessory apartment on property zoned rural residential district. This 19.5 acre subject site is located on the north side of West 117th Street North. So we have 14870 West 107th Street North. The subject site is currently developed with a single-family dwelling and an agricultural outbuilding. So the applicant is filing this conditional use request to have an accessory apartment on site that will serve as the applicant's guest house. So if we go to the site plan, the proposed accessory apartment would measure 26 by 44 feet, and it would sit about 54 feet from the east property line, 427 feet from the north property line, 865 feet from the south property line, and 753 feet from the west property line. And it appears to be somewhat parallel with the principal structure. And since this property is greater than 5 acres, they do not require any sort of planning application to have that accessory structure in line with or in front of the principal structure. Section 4A4 of the Unified Zoning Code requires 1 parking space per accessory apartment and 1 space per single-family residence. I'll show you later in the site photos that they have a 3-car garage, which is more than enough to accommodate both the parking minimums for the applicant's principal structure as well as the accessory structure. Apartments are subject to supplementary use regulations outlined in Section 3D6A of the Unified Zoning Code. These are listed on the second page of your staff report. In addition, when located in zoning districts for manufactured housing or more restrictive, accessory apartments are required to comply with property development standards, and those are also listed in your staff report. The character of the area is low-density residential. To the north, south, east, and west are zoned rural residential. To the north it's in use as agricultural land. To the south, east, and west are developed with single-family residences on large lots. This property is not platted, and there are no zoning cases associated with this property. Skipping ahead to the conformance to plans and policies, the request for an accessory apartment is in conformance with the Community Investments Plan. The Future Growth Concept Map identifies the site as being appropriate for a rural growth area. Staff is recommending approval of the application subject to the conditions listed in your staff report. And this recommendation is based on the golden factors. Prior to the public hearing a few days ago, I did receive a phone call from a neighbor who was concerned about the term accessory apartment. They assumed it was an apartment complex. I told them it was just one individual unit on site, but that is the only comment that I've received from any of the neighbors. So let's go to some of the site photos. This is looking northeast towards the site of the accessory structure. You'll see some poles here, and that is where they plan on having the building. Next slide, please. This is looking north towards the new lagoon that they're building for both the accessory structure as well as a principal single-family dwelling. Next slide, please. This is looking north towards the principal structure. You can see the 3-car garage. Next slide, please. This is looking south away from the site towards the entrance of the property. Next slide, please. And that concludes my site photos. And with that, I will stand for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And we understand the applicant is not present. And normally we would ask them this question, but I'm going to ask you.
Yes.
I assume since they're not here, they are in agreement with the conditions in the staff report.
Yes, I did have that conversation with them when I was taking site photos, that there would be a list of conditions, and then I emailed them the staff report.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Christina? Commissioner Miles?
Christina, so just looking at this, I'm assuming what you're doing is not building an accessory apartment, but putting a mobile home in as an accessory apartment, is that correct?
My understanding is that it measures 26 feet by 44 feet, so that would not be a mobile home.
Any other questions?
So when I look at the drawing in here, it says mobile home building is 26 feet. That's not what they're putting in?
So it can be it can be designed to manufactured home standards. So it can be a prefabricated home, provided it has like a solid foundation, a pitched roof, or at least skirting around the foundation.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions for staff? Seeing none, thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Normally, we would ask for the applicant to come forward, but since they're not here, any members from the public wish to come forward, this is your opportunity to come to the podium and give us your name and address for the record, and you will have 3 minutes.
Okay. My name is Virginia Street, and my location is 11610 North 151st Street West. That's to the southwest of this proposed location. And we were perplexed by what was meant by a accessory apartment. And also, we noticed here by recommended action, approve with conditions. What is meant by conditions? Thank you.
Okay, so those conditions are listed in the staff report. And she went over those, and that is, there are 5 items that the accessory apartment shall remain accessory to and under the same ownership as the principal building, and the ownership shall not be divided or sold as a condominium. Development of the site shall be in conformance with the approved site plan. The appearance of the accessory structure shall be compatible with the main dwelling unit and with the character of the neighborhood. The applicant shall obtain all applicable permits, including but not limited to building, health, and zoning. This will include turning in plans for review and approval by the MABCD for the accessory apartment. And if the zoning administrator finds that there is a violation of any of the conditions of the conditional use, the zoning administrator, in addition to enforcing the other remedies set forth in Article 8 of the Unified Zoning Code, may, with the concurrence of the planning director, declare that the conditional use is null and void. So those are the conditions that the applicant has agreed to. That is what staff included in the report. You bet. Any other questions from the public? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for action.
Move to approve per staff comments.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bill Johnson with a second by Commissioner Williams Bay. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item is 4.5.
Good afternoon, Brad Etherly with MAPD. We are discussing case PUD 2025-00017. This is a planned unit development case where the applicant is requesting a zone change from B multifamily and GC general commercial to PUD 944 South Topeka PUD, which would be PUD number 149. The subject site is, in fact, at 944 South Topeka. It is 1.18 acres in size and is currently developed as a church with a education addition to the back and a parking lot on the east. Currently, an alley separates the two properties. However, the request to vacate that alley was heard earlier and approved. The applicant is requesting the zone change in order to bring a non-conforming church building into compliance by allowing a certain level of flexibility with the site development. The proposed PUD language permits all uses allowed by right in the B district. According to the PUD drawing, the site will consist of two parcels. The church is on parcel 1. It was built in 1901 with a 5-foot setback from the front property line, which is the East Gilbert Street property line, which makes it legal non-conforming. If the PUD is approved, the existing church would be in compliance by setting the setbacks to the current placement of the building. Parcel 2 is proposed to be developed with multifamily units constructed out of storage containers and the existing surface parking lot. The portable shipping containers may be used on parcel 2 as the building shell material for residential purposes, provided that each structure's exterior shall be painted a uniform color. Each structure may have an exterior color unique from the other residential structures. The exterior color of each shall be an earth tone color. The location is limited to the area as illustrated on the PUD drawing, and that a 6-foot solid screening fence is required along the shared property lines of 939 South Emporia Avenue. The interior side setbacks for parcel 2 are proposed at 0 feet, and all other development standards would be to the B district. The proposed language waives height limits and compatibility setbacks for any existing structures, specifically in this case, the church on parcel 1. The proposed language also states that parking will be shared between all parcels with a minimum of 36 parking spaces required, which is conveniently, I think, how many they have on parcel 2. Landscape street yards would be required on South Topeka Avenue and East Gilbert Street and South Emporia Avenue. Landscape buffers will not be required since the property is abutting B and GC districts. Because the parking lot is existing, the parking lot screening will not be required. However, solid screening would be required along the north property line where abutting residentially zoned properties. Signs in parcel 1 and parcel 2 shall conform to the Wichita sign code for the B district. And if we can go to the zoning map, we'll go through the surrounding area. So it is very residential in nature. Properties to the north are zone B and are developed with single family dwellings. Properties to the west across South Topeka are also zone B and are developed with single family dwellings and a duplex. Property to the south of parcel 1 is zone B and is developed with a multifamily dwelling. Property to the south of the southwest corner of parcel 2 here is zone GC and is developed with a commercial building. Property to the southeast corner here is zone GC and is developed with a single family dwelling. And then properties to the east are zone B and GC and are developed with single family dwellings. The site was platted on April 23rd, 1876 as part of the Orm and Phillips edition, and no other cases have taken place on the property. The existing church building on parcel 1 was added to the Register of Historic Kansas Places and the National Register of Historic Places in 2006. The subject site does have access to South Topeka Avenue, South Emporia Avenue, and East Gilbert Street. City services do serve the site, and Wichita Transit provides service at South Broadway Avenue and East Gilbert Street. The requested PUD is in conformance with the Community Investments Plan. The future growth map identifies the area for appropriate for new residential. The land use compatibility guidelines under development pattern, guideline 2A, states that a goal is to encourage infill development that maximizes public investment in existing and planned infrastructure and services. Under the heading land use compatibility, guideline 1A states that higher intensity development should be discouraged from locating in areas of existing lower intensity development, particularly established low density residential areas. With the proposed PUD being in the B and the GC districts, we do believe that this is an appropriate use for multifamily. As far as the Wichita Places for People plan, the proposed PUD is in conformance with that plan. Strategy 5 encourages the diversity of housing options, and Strategy 6 encourages infill and redevelopment that is contextual to the environment in which it is occurring. Again, because it's B and GC, we believe that multifamily is certainly an okay use for this area. The site is also in the South Central Neighborhood Plan, and it is in partial conformance with that. The plan recommends the subject site is appropriate for institutional uses, and that is defined as schools, nonprofit agencies, churches, museums, and government facilities. And while multifamily is one of the uses that are going to, or that are proposed to be allowed, other uses such as colleges or universities, churches, and schools are permitted in the B district as well. If we can go to the site pics. So this is actually looking east into the site from across Topeka. Next picture. This is also looking east into the site into the addition from the 50s. Next picture. This is looking west into the site. You can see the parking lot and then the addition that was added in the 50s. Next picture. This is looking north into the site from across East Gilbert. Next picture. This is looking north up Topeka. Next picture. This is looking north away from the parking lot on the east side. Next picture. This is looking east away off of Emporia. Next picture. This is looking south from the parking lot into that southeast corner where the single family residence is. Next picture. This is looking south away from the east side of the subject site. Next picture. This is looking south away from the site from the west portion. I think that may be it. Oh, this is looking west away across Topeka. Any more? That's it. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
Thank you, Brad.
Oh, let me, I'm sorry, I didn't do the recommendation. We do recommend approval of the application subject to the provisions of the PUD and the conditions that are listed in the staff report. These are based off the golden factors, and we have received a couple of public comments, one of which is in front of you, one of which is in the report. So that, with that, I can now stand for it.
All right, thank you, Brad. So parcel 2 is GC.
Correct.
And multifamily housing is an allowable use in GC, correct?
Correct. So this PUD is a little different because it's not really about the uses necessarily they're changing, because those uses are allowed, and within the GC, storage containers can be used as multifamily as well.
That was my next question.
Yeah,
So a
and then-
shipping container can be used as multifamily housing in GC?
Yes, and obviously B, multifamily for the church is allowed for multifamily as well. So it's really about having the church that is built too close to the south property line, the front property line, be in conformance, and then allowing the parking, which would be inadequate if it was according to the UZC, to be in conformance by setting their own standards.
Right, and that's really what I wanted to get to, was the essence of what we're being asked to approve.
Correct.
As opposed to what some of the comments we've received in relation to what's already allowed by right. So, all right, thank you. Any other questions for staff? Commissioner Aldrich?
Yeah, Brad, just to confirm, this is not a historical district. Only the church is on the registry, correct?
That's my understanding.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Brad? Seeing none, thank you, Brad. We'll ask the applicant and/or agent to come forward. Please give us your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 10 minutes.
Kirk Miller, K.E. Miller Engineering, 117 East Louis. I'm the agent. We're fine with staff comments and the changes that they want to tweak on the PUD. That's fine. What they want to do is build the units here, the housing units, and then basically treat this as a complex where this area that's the addition to the church, use that as kind of to help with the housing over here. It'll have like community areas, gymnasiums, that kind of stuff in it, cafeteria, that type of thing, whatever would help support this area, laundry facilities, that type of stuff. Storage containers aren't that big. You're not going to have laundry facilities in them. So they would put all of that over there to help serve this and kind of fence all that off and make it a self-contained area. I understand the concerns people have about the storage containers and what they look like, because the one letter that came out showed, they mentioned a property over on Patty, I think it was, where you look at it and it's, it still has all the shipping information on the containers and everything else. And like that letter said, it's more of a commercial industrial type area, and this is more of a residential area. So one of the staff comments was to paint it, but there are other things you can do to the outside also to make it look better. I have some stuff that the owner sent me that I can hand out. It's just some pictures of what it could look like, things that can be done to make the storage containers look more like a normal residential structure.
Which is?
So while I understand that things can be done to shipping containers to make them look like something of a more residential structure, does that mean they absolutely will make it look something like this?
They're going to do something with it to make it look more like that. Yeah, they do not have a set plan for it right now. They don't have an architectural plan.
So they don't really have any idea what it's going to look like?
What they keep showing me is what that first one looks like. They said, this is kind of what we're going to look like. And it's like, okay. I mean, they could also vary it from one to the next. I mean, there's going to be a number of structures on there.
Any other questions? Commissioner Williams Bay. I don't think yours is working. Grab the base.
There you go.
Yeah, just for clarification, I know one of the comments that we got had indicated that there would be no private baths in these units, and that's not correct. If it's going to be a residential unit, it has to have a restroom in it, correct?
Okay, I believe that's the case, that you have to, yes.
Yeah.
I never got that. I didn't see that. Any other? Commissioner Nix.
You know, I enjoy looking at all these pictures of completed facilities. Do we have any that look like this in Wichita?
Not that I know of.
Where do these pictures come from?
These, the owner sent them to me. I said, can you give me some pictures of what this will probably look like? And that's what they sent me.
So as a compound, what kind of compound, what is this going to be used for? Just the general public or?
No, it'll be used for the people who are living there. The people that will live in these units will be using those facilities. It's not going to be open to the general public.
Okay, so, no, that's not what I'm asking. It's not going to house young adults. It's not going to specifically house, it's not going to be used as group homes, anything like that?
Not that I know of, no. I mean, there could be young adults there, sure.
Okay.
I mean, it's going to be affordable because they're not very big and you can only get so much a square foot in rent. I mean, the storage containers aren't, you know, they're basically one bedroom or studio apartment type things.
Commissioner Zimblebay.
I think I probably know the answer to this since it's such an old neighborhood. There are no HOA covenants or anything that control this area?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay.
Commissioner McKay.
You keep saying that these units are only going to be very small. Give me from here to there on square footage of each one of these properties. Or you think it might be?
Storage containers.
Because this looks like to me it looks awful lot like a tiny home deal.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not sure exactly how big storage containers are. I think they're about 40 feet long and 10, 12 feet wide, something like that.
Doesn't really affect your decision.
And they can stack them on top of each other and that type of thing too, and make them 2-story. So you have flexibility. You can put them side by side, connect them together. I mean, you can make them as big as you want.
I think my concern is that we have a neighborhood plan for this specific neighborhood, and there's a lot of effort that's being put into revitalizing this particular area. And I know that I sit on the committee to help develop the plan for this neighborhood, and I'm really struggling with the fact that we're going to plop down storage containers in an area that's already struggling, that's already blighted, and make it look even more so. And that's not going to help with trying to revitalize that particular area. I don't think that's going to contribute to revitalization in that area at all. I think it's actually going to contribute more to making the area even more undesirable. So that's my concern.
And as was pointed out earlier, they could do the storage containers right now if they wanted to, but the whole idea is they want to make this an accessory or a benefit to the storage container housing.
And that's the reason for the PUD to encapsulate the additional properties to serve the residents of the shipping container. Because otherwise, as we talked earlier, they could plop these down there right now without any of the other amenities.
Correct.
That's why the PUD.
Right.
Thank you. Any other questions or concerns for the applicant? Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Okay, thank you.
We'll now open it up to the public. If you wish to speak, come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes.
Amy Liker, 1002 South Broadway. I'm opposed to this application for all of the reasons my neighbors will be mentioning to you today, but I'm also coming to you with serious concerns that the applicant failed to fulfill the special application requirements for planned unit developments as outlined under Article 5, Section C, subsection 3A of the Wichita-Sedgwick County Unified Zoning Code. This section states that each applicant or application for PUD approval shall be accompanied by a PUD concept plan in a form established by the director and made available to the public. At a minimum, the concept plan shall include the following information: a detailed summary and graphic presentation of proposed land uses and development intensities, including number of dwelling units and total non-residential square feet by land use type, a detailed explanation of how the proposed plan of development differs from what could be accomplished through strict compliance with the standards of this code, the phasing plan and schedule of development, including an explanation of the sequence of build-out, and an explanation of how the proposed PUD represents an improvement over what could have been accomplished through application of traditional zoning standards. After I discovered the special PUD application requirements in the zoning code on Monday, I immediately called Brad Etherly to ask for a copy of whatever document includes them. Brad confirmed that the applicant did not provide the required information. In fact, that he told me that in his time with the planning department, he hadn't seen any PUD applicant that had provided all information required in the aforementioned section of the zoning code. The 944 South Topeka site plan and partial application I received from the planning department weeks ago definitely lacks it. This is an absolute disservice to the public and a violation of clearly written rules. For us residents, it feels very much like this applicant is trying to get a green light on a project without having to disclose certain details, even though the zoning code requires it. Further, without this required information, how can staff and the Planning Commission make an informed and fair decision about whether to recommend approval? How, for example, can you determine whether 36 off-street parking spaces is enough for the proposed PUD if the applicant has not disclosed the total number of apartment dwelling units as required or the capacity of their proposed church space? Zoning code has strict requirements for off-street parking for multifamily developments and churches based on the number and size of dwelling units and maximum seating capacity. The street parking in our neighborhood is already heavily utilized by current residents, many of whom have inadequate or no parking available on their properties. If the applicant is allowed to rely on on-street parking to help accommodate their tenants and churchgoers, it will cause unnecessary parking and traffic difficulties. And this is just one example of why this missing information matters. The zoning code is clear about the requirements for PUD applications. They are in no way overburdensome and should not be ignored by the applicant, the planning department, or the planning commission. And for these reasons, I recommend or encourage that you recommend denial. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Liker? That was some pretty serious statements she made. Does staff agree that the applicant did not meet the PUD requirements?
I think we'd need some time to review it. There's some things in there where the PUD didn't explicitly state the number of dwelling units, but there's a density calculation based on B multifamily zoning per acreage. So there's some, again, inferred information based on how the PUD is written.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon. My name is Timothy McQuarrie. I'm at 1002 South Broadway.
Could you repeat your last name, please?
McQuarrie, McQuarrie.
Thank you, sir.
I'm here to speak against the PUD 2025-00017. This change in no way helps to improve the area. This property has had projects that start and go nowhere. There was a publicized renovation to add apartments to the neighbor supported. Previously, work has started and stopped. The property was left in worse condition and became more of a magnet for trouble. Recently, there was a fence that was installed. Again, the neighbors were supportive. The work stopped, incomplete. This is not a zoning change to help get work done and improve the property. This PUD is a way to get around the requirements for parking and usage of the property. The applicant wants to put how many units total? A church, where are the cars going to park? What is the impact on the bike lanes, added traffic to the area? How is this in line with the neighborhood plan that has been approved by the city council? This has put a burden on all the neighbors to compete for parking. This will affect the neighborhood's property value. This proposed container apartments are not in line with the historic area and will be like a ulcer in the center of our neighborhood. A project like this would never move forward in a College Hill or any other older neighborhood. It seems like people are so ready to look at South Central and the South Broadway area and think that nobody cares. Do what you want, but I care. We care. These LLCs who can't even be bothered with doing something as basic as mowing their properties that they own should not be allowed to just develop and do what they want with no care for the surrounding area. This pledge should not be approved.
Any questions for Mr. McQuarrie? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Next speaker.
I'm Kathy Mong, and I live at 943 South Topeka. That means I live across the street from this. I moved here not 6 years ago, almost 20 years ago, to live in a historic area. I live in a historic home. It is recognized online. I live next to the Gage Brewer House, also noted in Sedgwick County Museum. We live in a historic area. We moved here because it was a historic area, because we wanted that atmosphere. We wanted to be downtown, and we do not want containers in the neighborhood. The first item I would like to address is the zoning use and character of our neighborhood. This is wholly inconsistent with our neighborhood. No other place do we allow that type of dwelling. The second is, which has partially been addressed, is the parking limitations. That church seats well over 200 people. There is, if containers go in, there is not adequate parking for that. I believe the general recommendation is about a parking place for about every 4 people residing or utilizing that. By putting more on that property, we do not have adequate parking any longer. Also, evidence on that, if you want to look right down the street, Emmanuel Baptist wiped out part of the neighborhood for parking, and recently the Child Advocacy Center has taken some land for their parking lot. It is essential that we have parking. If it was rumored that it was going to be used for at-risk youth. That is totally not acceptable. I am an employee of Wichita Public Schools who has taken off today. I have had a verbal consent from McKinney-Vento, which is the federal program for families in transition, as well as school security, saying that is not a good plan. It has a detrimental impact on the value of our land. There's people like me. I moved from Texas. I could have moved anywhere. We looked and looked, and we found Wichita, and we love Wichita. We moved here because there was no containers across the street. We love our neighborhood, and we wholly hope that you will help us keep it to be what it is. We are also very concerned with the current owner, who has allowed the property to be devastated. We get to look at that every morning. I wake up and I look across the street.
Ma'am, your time is up. Can you finish with one final sentence?
I hope you will really consider and turn this down. Thank you.
Ma'am, we have a couple of questions for you. Commissioner Joe Johnson.
Can you, with the mouse, show us where you live?
The greenhouse.
Can you use the mouse to point to it? You're across from the church to the west, so you don't directly see the lots in question for the shipping containers.
No, I see all the broken stained glass windows.
Right, but that wasn't my
And
question.
I see all the traffic.
That wasn't my question. You do not see the lots where the shipping containers are
You're right.
proposed. Okay, thank you. We have one more question. Commissioner Williams Bay.
Yes, is that church occupied?
It is currently not. It was Grace Methodist Church, and then it became Resurrection Community Church.
But currently not in service.
That is true, because it has broken out windows because the landlord doesn't take care of it.
Any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, I'm Adam Barlow Thompson. I live at 1121 South Waco in the neighborhood. I also serve as the executive director of the Neighboring Movement, an organization that works in the neighborhood to activate neighborhood teams and deliver neighborhood communication, and are currently working on development projects along South Broadway to support neighborhood efforts there. I respectfully request that this committee denies the current application before you. I think the developers have good intentions. They want to find ways to help a property that is blighted, but unfortunately they have not been able to execute that and have reduced the trust of the community around the project to, as you can tell by the comments so far, to pretty much nothing. Some of the concerns that I have have been shared, but also include the absence of transparency and communication around the project, inadequate execution of fundamental tasks such as putting up a fence, which they've been working on for several months and still is not complete. Housing, it is known from the developers that they want to house youth who are aging out of foster care in these storage containers. Putting a vulnerable population into a neighborhood that already is vulnerable alongside housing that is non-traditional is a recipe for all sorts of problems that we're, as neighbors, very concerned about. And then insufficient clarity from the partners within this group on how the funding is being secured and who is actually a part of their coalition. I know this building well. We actually looked at this property in 2017, and Key Construction went through it with us. We know that there is nearly $3 million worth of deferred maintenance just to get it up to a standard where you could occupy it, let alone turn it into housing. And none of those things have been mapped out in a plan for us by the current developers. So we respect this committee and hope that you will deny this application, and my genuine hope is the developers will come to the neighbors and the community around that wants to do something with this property and actually bring forward a plan that can execute that to the fullest. So,
Mr. Thompson, thank you for your service to the community. I'm familiar with your work and what you're doing, so thank you.
Absolutely.
You have a question from Commissioner McKay.
Yeah.
Sir, in this part of the South Central Neighborhood Revitalization Program, this area?
Are you asking if this is in that plan?
Yes.
It falls in the neighborhood that the neighborhood plan is a part of, yes.
Okay, that's what,
yeah.
Any other questions? Commissioner Williams Bay.
So there is no homeowners association.
It's not a homeowner association, it is a neighborhood association. So there's a distinction there.
Yeah.
But yes, there is a neighborhood association.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Next speaker. Same rules, name, address.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Christopher Swanson. I live at 1200 South Market Street, a few blocks away from this property. I've lived in the neighborhood for about 3 years now and worked in it for 8, and come to just bear similar. I want to also speak against this potential change. I bring similar concerns that my other neighbors have. Because I'm not a property owner, I'm a renter. I come with kind of some different perspective. I'm not as concerned about property values and things like that, but I am concerned about the vibe of our neighborhood. There, as mentioned, there's been a lot of work that neighbors and others like I have been doing in the neighborhood to help connect neighbors. We were at the table with some of these developers and owners at the start of this project, and we're really supportive of, like, we know housing is a problem in our neighborhood. We need to be creative about housing. I'm totally on that team, but we have no reason to suspect, based off of everything that they have shared, we have no reason to suspect that this will be successful based off of the very low trust that we now have with the developers, the fact that they have not even finished this fence after months and months of working on it. And one of our big pleas is also just please try, like, you committed to doing something with the church, and that has not been followed through with yet either. And as it was stated by Adam, there's just so much maintenance that has to be done on that space. I have concerns shared, like from Cindy, that the aesthetic of these shipping containers would not actually honor our neighborhood and would just create more blight. And then there's all the stories you've heard. We've heard these crazy rumors that it would be used for housing at-risk youth and putting them back into neighborhoods that, frankly, they probably came out of very similar settings. We see this a lot with halfway houses in our neighborhood, and it's just not successful, putting people back in super drug-saturated areas when they've struggled with addiction. So things like that. We'd heard that it sounds like I hope that there have been allowances made for plumbing and things on site. We had heard that these were so small that there was a potential that they would be using the facilities inside the addition to the church, which means going outside in the middle of the night for youth. I mean, it's a bad idea even if you're an adult in our neighborhood. And so I just hope that everyone would consider a bunch of these things that they've heard. The fact that neighbors are really working for building more trust in the neighborhood. And I think this takes away from that. So I hope you'll agree with the rest of our neighbors and kind of give this a second look. Yeah, thank you so much.
Any questions for Mr. Swanson? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next speaker? Next speaker? Is that it? No more? All right, we'll bring it back to the commission. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. As soon as I said it, I knew I was mistaken. We'll bring it back to the applicant. You'll have 2 minutes for rebuttal.
I really don't have anything to add. I just thought, since you've heard them, if you have any questions that I could attempt to answer,
So
I'd be glad to try.
right now, the parking in parcel 2 that exists,
Yes.
who's using that now? I mean,
Probably nobody.
Was that dedicated for the church?
Well, everything's vacant now, so probably nobody's using
But
it.
was it parking for the church when the church was operating?
I'm sure that's what it was for, yes.
Okay.
And it's this, there's a line right here. That's the edge of the current parking, and this is where the storage containers are.
We also heard questions about the fence that was supposed to be put up. What was that all about? Can you?
I have no idea.
Okay. Nothing that you were?
Nothing that I've been told about.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Aldrich?
Could you elaborate on whether these would be self-contained in the containers? Would there be water or sewer, restrooms?
Yes, I believe you have to have that to be a living facility. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That would be part of the building permit.
Right.
Any other questions? Commissioner Warren?
Anytime somebody comes up with a plan for affordable housing, it catches my interest. And I've been curious about how successful storage units have been for this. My concern is the aesthetics of it. Putting on a coat of paint on a storage building is not adequate, I think, for a residential neighborhood. Any of the examples they gave would be acceptable. What I don't know is how do we put wording into an approval that they do improvements to the exterior to fit the neighborhood. I don't know how to go at this point to something like that.
Well, isn't that part of the general provisions in red from staff?
So in the general provisions, how we addressed it was similar to a recent case that we had up near Patty and Kellogg area. And that was to require that there'd be each of the units be painted a uniform color. They can be different colors from each other, but to ensure that, they get all the shipping information, it doesn't have more of that industrial look to it. If you're looking for something that's got more of a residential kind of character in terms of cladding, that is a condition that can be added. I would suggest, though, that I don't know if that's something we want to do off the cuff right now, or if it's something that we would address if you wanted to defer it to give us an opportunity to craft that. But it depends also, what kind of exterior elements are you looking for? Are you looking for just a residential look, or is there something more defined, like a wood exterior or a residential siding? So there's some nuances that come into this.
For me, it would be important, and that's one of the things I struggle with, is they could look like this, but they could look like anything else. And for me, not having any sort of a plan, not having any sort of a design to look at, anything like that, I'm just guessing, about what they're actually going to put there. And that's a real struggle with me in an area that's already blighted and struggling, that I could just approve anything going there.
So again, I bring it back to the original request for this being a PUD, to bring it in conformance, that shipping containers could go on there right now without any of these provisions. So just remember what we're voting on. We're not voting on whether or not shipping containers are allowed there. It's whether or not this is a proper PUD, and these provisions, do we agree with them? Or do we want to add additional conditions to it? Thank you.
I would like to move that we defer it for, what's the proper, 2 weeks, 4 weeks? For staff to.
Okay. So 2 weeks really gives us just 1 week to work on it, because by the time we
4
publish
weeks.
it, 4 weeks would give us 3 weeks to work on it, which that would give us an opportunity to go back and forth. If I could, well, you asked me about the schedule, but what I'm hearing so far is the item that's come up so far, it largely has been the exterior appearance of the proposed shipping container residential units.
Which we can't control right now.
Which at this time, it just says paint them a uniform color, and that's how it's addressed. So what I'm hearing is that you want a higher level of assurance that it's going to blend in better with the character of the existing residential.
And we can do that?
You can add architectural and exterior appearance requirements. Yes, sir.
Commissioner Duell.
Just for my own information, so the difference between standard zoning on this and a PUD is that you can be a lot more specific on what you're requiring in a PUD. Is that correct?
In a manner of speaking. So the PUD is a customized zoning district, so you can add these additional conditions and provisions in it. If you were to do it just through straight up zoning, let's say they were requesting just a regular zoning district of some sort, then you could also tailor that in terms of a protective overlay. But in that situation, you can only be more restrictive. It can't provide additional abilities or permissions, whereas a PUD is wholly custom, so it can go either direction, more constringent or less constringent.
Did you finish your thought? Because we had another hand up down here.
Wait to make the motion.
Okay, Commissioner Williams-Beck.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's any conversations had with the neighbors at all about this project before?
I don't know. Not with me involved, but there might have been. I don't know.
Commissioner McKay.
I know on infill projects, we've had consistent architectural control type talks. Is that possible on something like this and still be within the law?
I'm sorry, sir. Was that a question about whether or not
In the past, I talked about architectural control on infill projects. This is definitely an infill project. So if they do, whether it's a PUD or just a straight plat, do we have the authority to say, all right, this is what you're going to build, this is what you're going to look like?
Yes, sir, you do.
Thank you.
Because it's a PUD, or because we have that right anyway?
There's a variety of different zoning vehicles that allow you to do that, but especially with a PUD, yes, sir.
So can just to become familiar, are these shipping container homes, how do they fall into, or how do they align with the mini homes? Are can they be a mini home? Because I know that we've not approved those in the past, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's something perhaps that we could explore a little bit more in advanced plans. But I think what I understand is a definition of tiny homes. It depends on how you define it, and generally it's based on square footage. Again, I don't know what the square footage is of the shipping containers.
And a
Well,
lot of time,
I think that's an issue, is that we just
But
don't,
again,
know anything about these. I
Shipping
know,
containers
I know.
are considered allowable use in multifamily housing.
and a lot of times a tiny home is often on a chassis where it's essentially, for our intents and purposes, an RV, because it's mobile. Like you can hook it up to your truck and take it with you. A shipping container, they like to use the structure. They would be required to have a structural engineer sign off on whatever holes they make into it because it's deemed structural based on how it's built. So if they're starting to cut it open and things like that, like they have to get all the structural plans to determine that it's, you know, structurally sound, depending on how they want to modify it. These would be on foundations, unlike a tiny home typically is usually more on a chassis. Depending on how it's built. Our zoning code doesn't have minimum square footage requirements for any type of a dwelling. We have minimum lot areas, we have density caps, but we don't have a minimum square footage. So somebody could build a stick-built home at 500 square feet or make it the size of a shipping container on this lot and have it be stick-built, and there's nothing in the zoning code that would require a minimum square footage, as long as it can meet all of the building and sanitary requirements for a dwelling.
Commissioner Warren.
My approval is going to be based on being able to come up with a plan to have some, something solid on the exterior look, the aesthetics of it, that would match the neighborhood more than a coat of paint. And if that takes 4 weeks, 6 weeks, you know, how we come up with that. If the motion comes up to approve, I'll be against.
Okay. Discussion. We're ready for Commissioner Aldrich.
I got one quick question. Would these have to be on a structural foundation or just tie downs? I mean, how are these secured to the? Yeah.
In order to not be considered a mobile home, they would have to have a foundation.
Okay, thank you.
And before any type of a motion possibly about deferment, do we want to possibly ask the agent on when they, like, because there could be the opportunity of 2 weeks, 4 weeks, you know, essentially could he turn it around by the next planning commission on 9/11, or would we, you know, maybe we should get his input?
So considering the discussion that we've had at the table, would your applicant be willing to consider some of these ideas and meet with staff and come back in 4 weeks?
Sure.
All right.
I think probably what you're looking for is some kind of a commitment on the exterior materials. Is that
the appearance of
where we are?
To make it look more residential than as
right.
What you're showing here is much better than what some of our commission is used to seeing with shipping container housing. So something more akin to this than just straight on shipping containers.
And maybe just explaining what the materials are and that type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
sure.
I think that would be Commissioner Bill Johnson.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this PUD with the understanding that the applicant's going to bring us something back 4 weeks of what it looks like. Because I don't want to get off on another tangent in 4 weeks and start over on this.
We have a second.
I've got a clarification.
So, no, his motion was to approve with the condition that the applicant brings back a plan that shows architecturally what we're discussing. Am I correct?
So is this
within 4 weeks?
Let me withdraw my motion.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that you had an official one yet, had you?
Yeah, I made a motion.
Well, we didn't ever get a second, so.
Well, we didn't ask for one.
That's true, because we were still discussing.
So this would require two motions. We have a conditional motion today to approve this, subject to another motion to approve what they bring in 4 weeks, right?
They'll have to get staff to approve what it's going to look like, material-wise.
So,
because if we don't do something like this next week, we'll hear the same comments and we'll go back to square one and we'll be looking at other issues.
I'm against providing designs in order to get something approved. I think that's a bad track to go down.
It's really not what we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And I agree, because they could set the unit there now, and we'd have nothing to say about it. But since the applicant has agreed to look at different ways of making it appear, then I'm okay with it.
But what happens if the architectural design isn't what the commission or staff was looking for? Then where's your recourse on that when it's already been approved?
I'd like to make a motion to deny.
So far, we don't have a second on this motion, do we? Was there a second? Okay. So now there's a motion to deny. Is there a second? So no motion, no second. So we're back to no current motion on the floor. Mr. Wadle?
So if I could, maybe a suggestion is in listening to the commission kind of deliberate this, it sounds like at least from one or possibly more, there's a desire to kind of keep the conversation moving, maybe not necessarily open it up to the whole thing, but be able to laser focus onto the design element when and if the planning commission hears it again. What I'm hearing from another commissioner is that they would prefer not to see it constrained to a specific design. So maybe a way to kind of meet in the middle is that if you want to defer it with the intention that the applicant would work with staff, and I would look to the applicant on this one to staff and the applicant to develop language of options that can come to you for conditions regarding the exterior. And so in that way, it would not necessarily be a specific design that they would be tied to, but it would be a condition of some language.
That was my motion originally.
Okay. Sorry, sir.
All right. Commissioner Bill Johnson.
I see why you get paid the big bucks. I like the way you presented that, so I'd make that as a motion.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Second was Commissioner Aldridge.
To defer for 4 weeks to give staff and the agent and the applicant enough time to come up with a architectural design that would be suitable, similar to what the handouts was that the agent for the applicant passed out.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor. I'm going to speak to the motion. I'm not going to support this motion because I don't believe that is what our charge is as planning commission. We're supposed to approve zoning cases and PUDs based on the conditions that it's being held. And it's because this is allowable use, it does qualify for multifamily housing, and our purview is not the way it should look. I'm sensitive to the neighborhood, but this has been GC for years. You could have had much worse for a long time. I understand you moved there because you thought that's what it was always going to be, but this is a good project. I appreciate the investment the developers or whoever they are that are putting into this. So with that said, anyone else want to make a comment?
But we've done that on regarding architectural design on other areas, other properties before, so.
Conducive to the neighborhood.
Right, so what's the difference?
We have conditions in this that speak to that.
Mr. Chairman,
opinion, so.
I totally agree with you, but since the applicant agreed to do it,
I understand.
I'm okay with it.
All right, so we'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Nay. So motion passes.
Can we do 10 to 2? If we could do
I think the only nays were myself and Commissioner Miles. Is that correct?
So for the record, a 4-week deferral will put this on the Planning Commission for September 25th. For folks, you're probably aware that there's a District Advisory Board meeting scheduled for next Wednesday. We'll actually work with District Advisory Board staff that if there's essentially, this is still up in the air, there isn't necessarily a need to talk about it next week to where we can talk about it at the October meeting as well. We'll work with staff and get information sent out as soon as we can.
All right, thank you. All right, next item is non-public hearing. Oh, yes, we're gonna keep, thank you. We gotta go back to the vacation subdivision item 2.3, the one-step final plat 2025-42. Get an update from staff.
Yes, Greg Sharon, planning staff. I did get a hold of Scott in County Stormwater Management, and he did confirm that the drainage plan is not approved and there are revisions to the drainage plan.
Not approved.
Correct.
Okay.
Is it appropriate to make a motion? at this
Yes,
point?
sir.
Make a motion, we defer until that's done.
Do we have to put a date on the deferral?
Yes.
Say?
We need a date certain.
Okay.
And then there's a question about whether you want to defer it or refer it back to the subdivision committee or to the MAPC meeting.
Mr. Wadle?
If I could, sir, I would just point out that if you defer this to the next MAPC meeting, we still do have the opportunity to send it to the next subdivision committee, because next week will be the subdivision committee and we can send out a revised agenda with this. And then we can get it to your next MAPC meeting after that. So it would not cost any additional time.
Well, I'd like, with my motion, I'd like to ask the chairman of the subdivision, do you guys want to see it again? Because, I mean, you're the ones that did the studying on it, no more than we did.
Sure,
Okay.
we'll hear it again.
Subject to the subdivision reviewing.
So your motion is to defer to the, allow for a subdivision committee to hear it and then bring it back to the MAPC following the subdivision hearing.
It would be 2 weeks for the MAPC, so September 11th, correct, Philip? And so that would, we would put it on the subdivision committee agenda for next week, next Thursday.
Okay. And who is the second?
Is that all right with subdivision?
Commissioner Warren is the second. All right. All in agreement, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Now we will go back to wrap up with number 5, non-public hearing, DER 2025-20.
Yes, thank you. Once again, Brad Etherly with MAPD. This is DER 2025-20. This is a special review of a proposal to amend the PUD 2025, it should be 2419, to determine if an application can be filed less than 1 year after being denied by Wichita City Council. Just a little bit of background on the situation. On January 9th, 2025, the MAPC considered case number PUD 2024-19, which was a request to amend the Crown Uptown Planned Unit Development, number 55, located at 3207 East Douglas Avenue. At that time, the applicant proposed increasing the capacity of the theater, which was set by general provision within the PUD. The UZC states that in the event that the governing body denies an application for an amendment to the official zoning map, a similar application shall not be refiled for 1 year from the latest advertised public hearing date on said application. The Planning Commission may permit a refiling of said application after 6 months of the latest advertised public hearing date when it determines that the reapplication is for a more restrictive change of zoning classification or is significantly different than the original request. The applicant shall submit a statement in detail setting out those changes that the applicant deems significant and upon which the applicant relies for refiling the original application. So in this case, the applicant did submit the attached statement that is in your report detailing the changes to the application. And so that they would like to file another application within 6 months, after 6 months of the original application being denied. The original request by the applicant was to increase the occupancy allowed from 850 people to 2,066 people. And at that January 9th meeting, the applicant verbally modified the request so that the occupancy was to be set by the fire marshal. The MAPC recommended approval of the amendment with a 9-4 vote, with modifications including that the event center be limited to load dictated and enforced by the fire marshal. There were 6 members of the public that spoke in opposition to the request. citing concerns of parking and the applicant's clients parking trucks in neighboring parking lots and extending out into the right-of-way, and then also the potential of increased crime in the area. On February 4th, 2025, the Wichita City Council considered the case and voted to deny the request, and included the modification that the occupancy, the request that included the modification that the occupancy be set by the fire marshal, and that was a 7-0 vote. So the PUD text still has the 850 person limit. The current request has 4 requests. One is to remove the capacity restriction from the PUD and to set the capacity by code, by building code or fire code. Remove the maximum building coverage area restriction and let that be set by code. Remove maximum gross floor area coverage restriction and let that be set by code. And then also to remove maximum floor coverage ratios restrictions to allow that to be governed by code. The UZC states that the 3 criteria that would permit a refiling of an application or the filing of a similar application after 6 months of the date of the original advertised public hearing date are within the staff report, but I will just focus on the 3rd, which is the application is for a more restrictive change of zoning classification or is significantly different than the original request. Based off of the request and the original request and what has been requested this time around, staff does believe that when taken holistically, the combination does make the amendment significantly different from the original request. We can run through some site pics real quick just to refresh what we're talking about. So this is looking west into the site from the parking lot. Next picture. This is looking west away from the site going down Douglas. Next picture. This is looking south into the site. Next picture. This is looking south away from the site into the neighborhood behind it. Next picture. This is looking north away across Douglas. Next picture. This is looking east away from the site. Next picture. And this is looking at the business across to the east. I believe that's it. Oh, this is, we'll do some interior pictures. This is looking from the stage. Next picture. This is looking at the balcony area. Next picture. This is looking from the balcony to the area. Next picture. That's it. Staff does recommend that this request to refile conditional use application less than 1 year after being denied be approved for the following reason. Staff deems the proposed changes to be significantly different than the original request when taken holistically. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
So Brad, just to be clear, if we approve, he can submit at any time because it's been longer than 6 months.
That's correct.
If it's denied, the applicant must wait until January 9th, 2026, which is
correct.
5 months.
Correct.
Okay, Commissioner Aldrich.
Thank you. And also, Brad, to follow up, piggyback on that, is that we're not here to discuss the applicant's request on the changes, but only to determine that there's been significant changes in the new application or would only be related to the amendments on the capacity of the limits, correct?
Correct. This is just to decide if the submission is significantly different.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Seeing none, thank you. We will allow the applicant to come forward and make any statements or clarifications that you'd like to make. Please give us your name and address for the record and up to 10 minutes. Because this is not a public hearing, we will not have any public comment.
Hey, good to see you guys again. Mike Brown, 3215 East 61st Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're trying to figure out a way to skin the cat here to keep this building intact the way it is. I think you guys all know that council voted a couple weeks ago to not forcibly put the property on a historic register that would have stopped our demolition of the building. This was always our intent to renovate and keep this building intact. I'm repeating myself that we were surprised by the capacity restriction in the PUD. We've done everything we can through requests for administrative adjustments. We've gone twice before the council. You guys have approved it twice. I think the last time that we got the 7-0 vote at council, it was because of the direction that it was taken, and it put all of the pressure on Chief Dugan. And I don't think council asked the right questions as to what his level of support was. So here we're going off of, I had a meeting, Scott took some great time with us a week or so ago, and the rest of his staff and some team. We sat down and we're trying to get to a path to keep the building. And this will allow us to come back to council one last time before the next time I see you guys. It'll be with a site plan from a cleared site with either multifamily retail or public storage, one of the two or three. So I'm willing to answer any questions about what I can tell you. Our goal is we just can't operate the building economically, feasibly with the restrictions that are on it today.
Any questions for Mr. Brown? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Again, there is no public comment. We'll bring it back to the commission for discussion. Mr. Aldrich.
If there's no discussion, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the request to refile the conditional use based on staff recommendations and comments.
Second.
If I could, sir, staff clarification question and apologies. I think that we entered in the text that says conditional use. It should be planned unit development, I believe.
Yeah.
So
To
my apologies.
PUD, to refile PUD number 55.
Okay, I revise my motion.
Make my second.
All right. So we're all clear. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion approved unanimously. That is the last of our agenda. So thank you, everyone. Have a safe and happy Labor Day weekend. We're adjourned.